Hi everyone, it's Stephanie here and welcome back. In today's video, we are going to be creating a fun interactive card using the new double slider loop slots dies. And we're going to create kind of a gift card surprise so that when we pull on the little pull tab that we're going to add to the card, it's going to make a gift card pop out from the other side from in behind the panel. Now these dies don't look like much at first when you first look at them, but there really is a lot of fun ways to use them. And I will link to another video here that shows Carolyn doing a video using these dies in a completely different way. But in today's video, I wanted to focus on being able to use it to create this kind of gift card surprise. You can see there when I pull on that, the gift card kind of pops out the other end. I just think it's super fun and it's a great way to give a gift card in a unique way. So in today's video, we're going to create a completely new card. I'm going to use the Happy Birthday script die instead of this large Happy Birthday sentiment that I used on this first one here. But other than that, we're going to pretty much create the exact same design. So first up, I want to create the little bit of rainbow pattern that we're going to use to die cut our sentiment. So I'm just taking a piece of cardstock and I'm adding some distressings to this cardstock, kind of in a diagonal formation. And I'm just kind of blending them into each other to create a rainbow effect that has a really nice blended look. Now you can use as little or as many colors as you want here. You can do completely one color, or you could go with a holiday color scheme if you want to do this for maybe a Christmas gift card or something like that. So it just depends on the occasion that you are celebrating on what you want to do for your colors. I always think rainbow is a good idea, and especially for birthday cards, so I really wanted to go colorful here. So I did the rainbow pattern all the way down this whole cardstock panel, and it's actually more of a panel than I'm going to need. You'll see here when I put the die in here that I have a lot more space on the panel than I actually need. And I don't get a lot of the pink and the purple in the die cut piece, but I still like how it turned out. And then of course here I am adding a little bit of water just to distress this a bit. Since these are distressings, they do react with water. So you can see there when I added the water on top, we get that really cool kind of distressed look. So now that I have that done, I have it dried, I'm going to go ahead and take the Happy Birthday script die, and here's the big birthday die, which is the one I used on the first card, and I'm going to die cut both this colorful panel as well as a separate piece of white cardstock. So I have a few pieces of white cardstock that I've already cut so that we're ready to go here. So I've used the A2 stitched rectangle stack set 2, and I've used the third one down and the fifth one down. So I have the third largest and then the fifth largest. And I've cut out a panel from smooth white cardstock using both of those dies. So these two pieces here are going to be the top layer that our sentiment's going to go on, and then the smaller one is going to be the little piece that kind of pulls out to reveal our sentiment. And then I have another piece here that I've die cut, and actually this is just cut with a paper trimmer, and this one is just cut slightly smaller than the larger one. I need this to fit in behind the larger one, and this is what we're going to use to create the actual interactive part on the card. So I'm just going to set that aside for right now, and we're going to do our die cutting. So for the die cutting, you can simply just die cut the sentiment from this rainbow piece and add it on top of your white cardstock piece. But I really wanted to do die cut inlay and have the sentiment kind of fit right into that top piece so that it's completely one layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to die cut this from both the white piece as well as the rainbow piece, and then we're going to piece it back together. So I have it die cut now here. You can see I kind of cut it on a diagonal, trying to get as many of those colors as I could from the rainbow. And now I'm going to use my paper piercer here and just kind of pop out all of the interior pieces on this white panel. This is going to be what's going to go on the actual front of the card. And I need to create a sticky area inside the letter openings for us to put our colorful letters. So to do that, I like to just take some Be Creative tape or double-sided tape, and I like to just flip the panel upside down and add this tape across the back, right over top of the openings where the letters are. And then once you have the adhesive in place, you can simply just flip this back over, and now you have a sticky portion inside all of those openings. And you can just take all of the letters from the rainbow piece and add them right into those openings. It's just kind of like doing a puzzle. Everything is going to easily fit back inside of all of the openings. And once you have all of the colored pieces in, I like to go back in with the white pieces that I kind of took out at the beginning. And I just add in all of the interior pieces of the letters so that I don't have any of those open spaces. And like I mentioned earlier, if you don't want to take the time to do all of the inlay technique here, you can just die cut the sentiment right from the rainbow piece and adhere it directly on top of the white piece. It's not going to affect the card either way, so it's just personal preference on and how you want to add that sentiment. So I'm just adding the rest of the interior pieces here, and then I'm going to go ahead and start to work on the rest of the card. So in addition to the piece here that we're going to add with the sentiment, I'm also going to be using the new black and white dot 6x6 paper pack. This one features 3 different dot designs, a small, medium, and large. And on the original card, I used the medium pattern paper. So for this one, I thought it would be fun to use the larger dot. So I'm going to grab a piece of that and I'm going to trim that down to use on the card. I also have a few more supplies that I'm going to pull together here that we're going to use. So I have a piece of blue raspberry cardstock, and it's just trimmed down into a small piece to cut out this little tab from the Blueprints 29 die. And that's going to be what we add our pull sentiment onto. That sentiment is going to be from the interactive label stamp set, so I have that out. And I also have 2 sentiment stamp sets, which are Twice the Wishes and Bundle of Balloons. I'm only going to end up using Bundle of Balloons on this new version, but I did use the Twice the Wishes on the first card. And then of course the star of the show, our double slider loop slot die. And for this card, I'm going to be using the smallest one. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut this from that piece of cardstock that we cut that's slightly smaller than our sentiment panel. And you can see here, once I run it through my die cutting machine, I have the 2 little loop slots die cut into the center of this. I just kind of positioned it in the center of the panel from side to side and top to bottom. And now I'm going to add the little loop piece that is going to make this interactive. So to use this die, you just want to take a piece of acetate. This is just a piece of packaging or a stamp pocket, just a strong enough piece of acetate that it's not going to tear, but you don't want it to be super thick because you want it to be able to move freely through those slot openings. So the idea behind these dies is to take this acetate strip and put it through the 2 loop openings and then adhere it together on the back so that it creates one continuous loop. Now the best way to adhere it is to use a small stapler. I'm using a Tim Holtz tiny attacher here. And I'm just stapling each side so that I know it's really secure and it's not going to tear apart. And then I'm going to take a pair of scissors and I'm just going to trim off the extra. And what that's going to leave me with is this loop that's going through both of the openings. And on the back we have the staples, and on the front it's just the solid piece of the acetate. So it is a little bit hard to see. I apologize. I know it's clear acetate on a piece of white cardstock, but it's just that continuous loop there, and you can see that I'm easily able to move it in between the 2 loop slot openings. So once you have your acetate strip through the loop slot openings and you've adhered it together, you've already done the interactive part of the card. So you can see how quick and easy that was to create. So now you can either make an object move, so have an image on your card and make it move back and forth or up and down, or you can do what I'm going to do here and actually have 2 different pieces that work together to make the gift card kind of come out the other side. So that's why I have this on just its own panel. We're going to sandwich this panel in the center of our card, which is going to allow us to add something to the back of it as well as the front of it. So the gift card is what we're going to add to the back of it. So to do this, what you want to do is you want to flip your panel over and you want to have the staples against the right-hand side. So you can see there I have my staples all the way pushed over to the right-hand side, and that's where we're going to add a little bit of Scor-Tape. Now I'm using Scor-Tape because it's a really strong adhesive, so it's going to hold that gift card in place. But I'm using a small amount of it so that when the recipient gets the card, they're going to easily be able to kind of pull really hard on that gift card and it's going to separate from that little acetate piece. But until they're ready to do that, we want to make sure it stays intact. So we add the Scor-Tape right over the staples. And now I'm going to add my gift card. So you can see there, once again, I just wanted to show you this is the back and we have the staples over to the side. And I flipped my gift card upside down since I want it to come out straight and in the right direction when I put the card together. So I'm just adding it down onto the piece here. I'm making sure it's in behind the panel, so I don't want it sticking out on the side. And I'm just lining it up so it's nice and straight, and I'm pressing down on that Scor-Tape. And that's going to adhere the gift card onto that acetate loop that we've created. And you can see now when I flip this back over that our gift card is nicely tucked in behind this panel. It's adhered to the loop, and it's going to slide out perfectly from the left side when we put this all together. Now the key here is we need to add some foam adhesive around this to kind of create a channel to keep that gift card in and to be able to adhere it to the card. We don't want to adhere it flat to the card because we want that gift card to be able to move. So I've added a piece of this foam adhesive on both sides of the panel, and I'm going to add a piece here at the end too, just for some stability, and then we can adhere this directly onto our card front. So I've trimmed down my polka dot piece to 5 inches by 3 3/4 inches, and I'm adding this to the center of a Limelight card base. And now I can add the piece that we created with the gift card directly on top. So I'm just going to remove the backing off of my foam adhesive. I'm going to make sure the gift card is centered in between all of that foam adhesive that we've added. And then I'm just going to adhere this to the center of the card. We're never going to actually see any of this once the card is complete. We just want to make sure it's centered so that everything will line up properly when we add the pieces over top. So now we have one part of our interactive card completed. We can set this aside and work on all of the pieces we need to create the other piece that we're going to add to the top of this loop. So that's going to be the white cardstock piece that we die cut that was a little bit smaller. And we're going to create a little tab on here that says pull, and we're also going to stamp a sentiment on here. So I just die cut this little tab here with my die cutting machine, and I'm stamping the word pull with a couple of arrows from the interactive label stamp set, and I'm just stamping those with black ink. Once I have that stamped, I'm also going to stamp my secondary sentiment that we're going to add to the card front, and I'm going to do this on a black piece of cardstock with Versamark ink so that I can heat emboss it with some white embossing powder. I have a long sentiment here, but I only want the birthday wishes portion of it, so I just masked off half of it, added the Versamark to the part that I wanted to stamp, and I'm just going to stamp this directly onto my cardstock. I'm then going to add my white embossing powder, and then I'll take this to my heat gun and heat set it so that I have a finished sentiment. So now that I have all the pieces ready, I can go ahead and assemble this panel piece that we're going to add to the top. So I first added some red tape to my little pull tab, just so I know I have a really strong adhesive there holding that on. And I'm going to add it to the front of this little panel. I already have my sentiment stamped onto the panel at the end there, which is the area we're going to see. And now we're going to add this panel to the top part of our loop. So if you remember when we did the gift card, our staples on that loop are all the way over to the right, and that's where our adhesive is. So for this panel to pull out properly and make the gift card move as well, we want the adhesive on this one to be all the way over to the left. So I put my Scor-Tape on the left side of that loop and added the panel directly on top, just like we did with the gift card. And now you can see when I pull this panel to the right, it makes the gift card go out towards the left. So it's just a really cool way to use this loop die to create kind of a surprise slider because you don't really expect something to come out the other side. So now, just like we did with the gift card, I'm taking some foam adhesive and creating a channel all the way around that panel. This is going to keep the panel straight, and it's also going to lift it up off of the top piece so that we have enough area inside for that panel to easily move. You don't want to adhere this top piece flat over top of the panel, or it's going to kind of be stuck in there and not move as easily. So once I have that in place, I'm just making sure everything is lined up, and then I'm going to take this top layer and I'm going to lay it right over top, making sure it's center, and press down on that adhesive. So what we've done here is we've created a sandwich really with that interactive piece in the middle, tucked in between the polka dotted piece as well as this top panel. And now we can easily pull on our little pull tab, which is going to pull this piece out, and it's going to make the gift card come out the other side. But once you have everything pushed back in, you can't even tell that there's anything in there, so the recipient is going to have no idea what's going to happen until they actually pull the card. So that is how you create this really cool double slider card. I'm adding just my secondary sentiment on here to finish it off on the front, and I'm also going to add some sequins kind of scattered around just because birthday cards should have sequins. And those sequins are going to be filled with silver stickles in the center just for a bit of added shine. Once you create one of these, it's kind of addictive, so I just want to warn you ahead of time. And there are so many great ways that you could use this design. You could create a fun photograph kind of hidden inside of there. You could do a gender reveal for a baby. That would be a lot of fun. You could have a secret question pop out like, will you marry me? Just a lot of fun ways that you can incorporate this design into your card making. And here's one more look at the first one I did where I did the Starbucks gift card with the other happy birthday sentiment on the front. So the exact same design, I just changed up the colors, the pattern paper, and the sentiment, and just changed out the gift card that I added inside. So I hope this video gave you some ideas on ways that you can use our new double slider loop slots dynamics. It's a lot of fun, and I really encourage you to create with it and just kind of experiment and see what you can come up with. Thanks so much for joining me in today's video, and I will see you in another one soon.